Well, hello, online students. I'm glad to be able to join you today in my kitchen. And today we're going to take a look at one of my family recipes that we have had for, well, really since as long as I can remember. In fact, when I went to locate this recipe, initially I had this recipe on my computer, and then over the years, I committed it to memory as I made it, and sure enough, I couldn't find the recipe. And so I did find a recipe online that was close to my recipe. And so the one that you have right now, I've changed it so it's exactly my family recipe. So you're not going to find this particular recipe and ingredients anywhere online. And I got to be honest, I don't share this very often, but being that it's Christmas and all that, let's get going. So what are we making today? Today we are making French toast strata. Now, French toast is one of those easy things that you can make. In the strata side of things, it elevates it. So this is a great meal that you can have in the morning time. The preparation needs to be done the night before, and you'll see why once we're done. And then you cook it in the morning, and then the meal itself is just so good. So traditionally we have this Christmas morning, and sometimes we'll do it for special occasions, or if we are going to have a bunch of guests over. Now, of course, not right now with COVID and everything, but in years past for sure. So we're going to make the full version, but whatever I've got on there, you guys can cut that in half and you can make a smaller version if you like as well. So a couple of little things about the ingredients. Most of these things you actually have at home. There's just a couple items that you need to pick up at the store. So first of all, cream. You're going to use about half of this cream, and depending on how much you make, you can increase the liquid as you go. And we'll talk about that in a second. You're going to need bread. Now, what sort of bread do you want to use? This is a sourdough loaf. Some of our family members are gluten-free. So sourdough tends to be a very soft bread that people that are gluten sensitive can eat. If you're not gluten-free, sourdough, of course, is amazing, but you can also just go to the store and pick up a French loaf. A French loaf is like, I don't know, $1.70. And so you can buy 2 of those French loaves and away you go. Believe it or not, the bread that we're using doesn't need to be super fresh. So if you are going to the store and you see that it's a little bit hard or it's been there for a little while, that's okay. That actually is better for this particular recipe. Okay, what else have we got? So we've got things like vanilla. That's going to be amazing. You've got to have cinnamon. I mean, nutmeg. This is a very powerful spice, and we're just going to use it a little bit. And then this is some of the uniqueness now using Philadelphia cream cheese. You can also replace the cream cheese with a berry if you like. No bananas, but certainly berries. But the cream cheese is so good, and you'll see why in a moment. We're going to mix all these things together, and then we're going to get cooking. So let's get started. The first thing that we are going to make sure that we've got is our eggs. Now you'll notice that there are no eggs sitting here. So that's because we have to go downstairs and outside, and we're going to see if there are some eggs there. So why don't you come with me? All right. So one of the fun things that we like to do is we've got some chickens. So this is the chicken coop here, and it is good to go. It's just getting winterized, and so let's take a look and see. Let's see if we've got any eggs. Hey Priyanka, how's it going? Yes, we do. We have got 3 eggs ready to go, and I see that they're coming here to check it out. She's wondering why I am grabbing those eggs, and just see the girls can say hello.
Priyanka and Courtney. All right. We've got some fresh eggs. Okay. We're going to clean those eggs up and we're going to use them. Okay, let's head back upstairs.
All right, we are back. So we're going to wash up these eggs. I don't know if you've ever had fresh eggs before. I'll tell you though, pretty awesome. Lots of different sizes. Chickens, once you get them going, in terms of getting to know them, domesticating them a little bit, they're actually really pleasant animals. And so the ones that these are from, they're called Orpingtons, and they're these big birds that can really handle the wintertime. Anyhow, that's for another conversation. Okay, so we've got our eggs, we've got our bread, and now we're going to get things going. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to cut the bread. So I'm going to put the video on speed so that you're not sitting here watching me do all the work. Okay, so you can see that I'm cutting the bread in these small squares. And depending on your family, you can either make them large, chunky ones so that they sort of are all over the place, or you can make them medium size, which I'm cutting these ones medium. And you can even cut them smaller, especially if you've got a really young brother and sister that likes to grab food. You can cut it whatever size you want. But the magic of this is not putting it in as a straight bread, but actually cutting it up, and you'll see why. Okay, so we've got our bread all cut up, which is great. Next thing you're going to do is use a, what is this one, a 9, what's a 3/4? So 9 by 13 inch pan. So if you're going to cut this in half, just use one of the smaller pans as well. It's got to be glass or ceramic for this to work, because we're going to be putting it in the oven. Okay, so what do we need to do? We have got to make sure that we butter this pan before we put anything in there. So you can use a couple different things. I have a spray on butter that I can put on there specifically for cooking it. You can just grab some of your own butter and smear it on. Sometimes for butter, if you're looking for an easy way to do it, is I just get a baggie like so, and I just grab some butter. In fact, why don't we do that? We don't all have the spray butter to use. All right, so what am I doing here? So we're just going to grab some butter like this. Okay, you don't need too much. And just smear it all around. My hand is not all oily, which is great. It's just like a little cooking hack, eh? Okay, good. The butter just seeps in when it starts cooking. Tastes so good. So yeah, you can do a spray in there as well, and then you just turn the sucker inside out and you toss it out. Easy peasy. Okay, so we're going to take the first layer. I'm hoping that I've got enough bread. When I went to pick up the bread at the store today, they only had 1 left, and usually I use 1.5 in here. But let's see what we've got. I think we might be okay. We might be okay. So the goal is to try to have the bottom covered up. Actually, we're gonna be just fine here. Okay. So covered up pretty good. I haven't done any liquid on this yet. It's just getting prepped. I might even push this around a little bit. Now this isn't all the bread. I'll show you what we're gonna do. Okay, next. This is where the good stuff, special stuff comes in. It's using the Philadelphia cheese. Now you can use light cheese, heavy cheese, whatever you want. Whatever you do, don't get flavored cheese like garlic or something of that nature. It would not good at all, not good. Okay, so hopefully you washed your hands before you do this. Very important that your area is clean, of course, and that your hands are washed. All right, if you happen to have a spreading knife, very easy to use, or if you've got a cheese knife, use that as well. So all we're doing here is we're going to cut this right in half, and then we're going to make chunks, like so. Okay? And then the chunks, great, messed up the bottom there. That's okay, good times. So then the chunks are going to go inside and in between bread. So if you're not a big fan of cheese, you can not put cheese on at all, but I'll tell you, once it melts in there, it's so good. Like I can't, I love cheese. So, I mean, I guess I'm biased. So you're just going to put in about 6 or 7, how many, I got now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 chunks in there. It's totally up to you how much you like cheese, but so this is just for the in-between layer, okay? Then we're gonna take a little bit of cinnamon, and we're just gonna sprinkle on some of that cinnamon. Now, when cinnamon cooks in the oven, it actually browns up really fast. And so that's why I'm putting it on the inside layer to start. And then I'm gonna do the exact same thing with the nutmeg. Now, folks, the nutmeg is, it's powerful stuff. So we put nutmeg in things that we want to elevate the taste, and it really works well with cinnamon. Can you tell that I like food? I sure enjoy baking. Now, what I'm doing right now is I'm just putting it in my hand because it comes out fast. And if you put out too much nutmeg, it's going to totally take over. It's totally going to take over the taste. And so we don't want to do that. It adds a little bit of spice. Like I said, it also elevates the cinnamon, which is nice. Sometimes you'll see nutmeg in there with eggnog. Tastes really good. Lots of good things nutmeg is used for in drinks and whatnot, especially when it's heated up. Okay, so we've got this going on. Now what about the rest of the bread? The rest of the bread now goes on. Okay, if a piece is too big like this, then just rip it up. Again, you can use that French bread if you want to. Okay, looking pretty good here. So now you can add a couple more, and you can do smaller chunks. It doesn't have to be this big. I just like big chunks. Okay, a couple more up top here. Beauty. Okay, good enough. Okay, let's go to the next section. So this is all ready to go. We can put this off to the side. And now we're going to focus on the liquid. So the liquid's really important. Just like when you make French toast, typically you do something like probably about five eggs to maybe half a cup of liquid, so milk or cream. And we're basically doing the same thing here, except we have the ability to play with it a little bit more. You can switch out your cream if you want something a little bit healthier with milk. If you're going to switch out the cream with milk, I would suggest maybe adding another egg in there just for firmness. Okay. Well, let's throw it all in to the blender and see what we've got. We've got our fresh eggs that we're going to use. We've got some other eggs here that I've grabbed. Okay, next we're going to put in our half and half. So for the half and half, we're putting in about half a liter. So when we put in half a liter, this is 1 cup. And 2 cups worth. Okay. Awesome. Same thing, if you're having a big company and you're making more of this, you can put a little bit more cream in if you want. Just make sure you keep it up with the eggs as well. Next is vanilla extract. And we're going to put in just a tablespoon of vanilla extract. These are the things that when people taste foods that's been uniquely prepared, their palate asks a question, what is this taste? And what we're doing is we're putting together various flavors to elicit a sweetness that's more than just sugar. Okay, it's a sweetness that says there's a little bit more to this, and what is it? And when they ask the question, what is it? That's when you know you've got something special, and also something that's difficult for them to replicate, them being your guests, because they're like, wow, amazing. So here is the next piece that's really great. You're thinking, Mr. Smith, how much cheese do we need? Okay, putting cheese inside the blender, same idea. You can just chop it up, put it in, and I'm just using 1/4 of the cheese. So this is going to make this sauce, the liquid that's going in here, really creamy, a nice solid taste, very rich. They won't need a lot of this to feel full. So how much cheese have we used? We have used, show this underneath here. So basically 3/4 of the cheese that we've used. Again, you can decide how much you want to use depending on how much you love it. Okay. Next, where does the sweetness come from? The sweetness comes from maple syrup. This is Canada's liquid gold right here. So if you don't have maple syrup at home, you can just use a brown sugar or just white sugar. If you're going to use white sugar, you can use 3/4 of a cup. Again, some of these things are not written down. It's just how we've changed things. And then if you are going to use maple syrup, you don't need a lot of maple syrup to make this work. Okay, we're going to put in just about 1/4. I'm going to do, there we go, almost half a cup, not quite. And we're going to toss that in. Okay, oh, so good. Pretty much good to go. So now we're going to blend it. Nice gentle blend. Nothing too crazy. I'm going to put it on about 3, level 3. But once you've done it, you're going to realize just how easy this is. Okay. All right. So we've got everything here good to go. Okay, everything is patted down very nicely. All right. Now we're going to gently pour, and I want you to take your time and try to get over the majority of the bread without it going crazy all over the place. And then I come on back. So we want to keep the structure of the squares because this is part of the presentation side of things, right? So I am trying to get everything nice and wet. You'll notice that it's starting to come up to the sides. That's totally fine. Now you don't have to use the whole thing, okay? Well, that's looking pretty good, actually. I don't think I'm going to use the entire thing. You've got a little bit left over, no problem at all. Okay, so this is where the overnight side of things come in. So we've got it all here, looking pretty good. So what I might do is I might just give it a little bit of a push down, not too much. I'm just going to help this get in with the bread, like so. And I want to make sure that the bread, especially the top pieces, are completely wet. Okay, we want that moisture to have gotten in there. The bottom pieces I don't have to worry about, right? Obviously, it's the top pieces. And I'm getting hungry just looking at this stuff. Okay, awesome. Looks great. Okay, we talked a little bit about putting in cinnamon, and we put the cinnamon on that second layer, which is nice. Good to do that. Now we're just going to do a little bit of cinnamon on the top layer. I totally realize that when this cooks, that layer is going to get a little bit brown. For me, I'm not adding any more nutmeg. I've already put some in there. I don't want to overwhelm the taste. Okay, I'm taking a look at it. It's looking pretty good. And actually, once I pushed it down, it sort of sucked up that egg and whatnot. So I can put a little bit more in here again. And what you're going to find is that the bread, by morning time, will have sucked up all the liquid. And then you're just going to have these really so good, yummy pieces of bread. Okay, folks. So now we're ready to go. This has to sit overnight. So for preparation, you're going to need some tin foil. Okay. I'm going to put tin foil over here. I'm going to show you a little secret here. So I already put the butter away. Sometimes when we cook with tin foil, it gets stuck to the top. So I am going to take my my spray on oil and just do a very light spray right on the tin foil. That way, when I put this on, like so, when it bakes it, it's not going to get stuck to it. Some people, if they don't have that, they just tent it. All right. Cheese is in the way. All right. Easy. Okay. So we're ready. Put this in the fridge, and then we come back in the morning. So here's the deal. I want you to see what the finished product is. So I'm going to go put this in the fridge, and then tomorrow morning, I'm going to stick it in the oven, and I'm going to put it in the oven at 350. And you have to warm up the oven first. Don't forget that. Preheat it. You're going to put this in here, and you're going to cook it for about 50 minutes. So you got to time it. At that 50-minute mark, we're going to take off the tin foil. We're going to take a look to see how things are inside. And then we can leave the tin foil off and let it cook for another 10 minutes or so. Now, if you've got a fork or even sometimes in the kitchen, we've got items that we can check bread with, but you can use a knife. A knife is a good thing to check with. We're going to check tomorrow morning that at that 50-minute mark, if it's done. And we're going to do that by taking a knife and just sliding it in. And when we pull it out, it should be more or less clean. If we use a little bit too much moisture, which happens, so it's not a big deal though, then we just have to cook it a little bit longer. But this is why we want to make sure we have a good balance between the egg and the milk. So you want to have more of the egg and less of the milk in general when we're doing anything to do with French toast. All right, I will see you in the morning. I can't wait, I'm already hungry.